Joliet regular meeting. Revised agenda is available in the back corner for Tuesday, November 20th, 6:30. Mayor Robert Odekirk. We will be led for an invocation by Deacon Carl Herber from Holy Family Catholic Church, 600 Brook Forest Drive, Shorewood.
Mayor, if we could start the prayer with a moment of silence for Mr. Ed Zerkes, who was a wonderful businessman in town and also a great philanthropist. And he passed away last Friday, and he was one of the most kindest, nicest men I've ever met. And condolences to his family. Thank you. We're good, Pastor.
This evening, I would like to start with a reading from the Old Testament, Psalm 24. Who shall climb the mountain of God? Who shall stand in his holy place? The man with clean hands and pure heart, who desires not worthless things, who has not sworn to deceive his neighbor. The man whose deeds are blameless and whose heart is pure will climb the mountain of the Lord. And let us pray. Almighty Lord, we give you thanks for all you have given us. We thank you for this gathering this evening. Guide this council, Lord. Help them to make good decisions, that they will be of benefit for all people. And we pray, Lord, we pray for them. We pray for all public servants. We pray for police officers, firefighters, members of our military, and all first responders. Protect them, Lord, as they protect us. We pray for those living on the margin of society. We pray that because of your generosity to us, Lord, we may be generous and loving to all who are in need, especially as we celebrate Thanksgiving Day. And we pray for all of those who have died, all of those who have done good deeds. As we mentioned this evening, Mr. Zerkes. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Happy Thanksgiving.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is a presentation honoring Joliet Junior College for their services to people with disabilities. It's presented by the Mayor's Committee on Citizens with Disabilities.
Mayor Odekirk, City Council, tonight we're going to honor the students of Joliet Junior College and the Junior College, two very, very dear friends of ours now because we've gotten to know them, and for all the things that they've done for people with disabilities. First of all, I'd like to explain what the Mayor's Committee on Disability is. It was the Americans with Disabilities Act that prompted cities across the nation to set up these committees to interact with city government on behalf of people with disabilities to look out after their interests. This last summer, we had an education fair, and we brought together the Department of Human Services, District 86, the services that are provided to them, social services, Joliet Junior College, the University of St. Francis. We got together and said, what is our part in helping people with disabilities achieve success in education? Because so many students that are capable of going on and furthering their education just don't do it, and we need to reach out to them because they're an important part of the community. They are entitled to go out and get jobs, just like everybody else. In doing so, we asked for help with the picnic, the Mayor's Picnic on Disabilities that we have every year. And the students at Joliet Junior College responded overwhelmingly. They came in, they set up, they served, they cooked, they cleaned up afterwards, they socialized with the people that attended from the group homes. They just did a marvelous job. Not only that, but they promised to be there again next year. So we are awarding it's usually an individual award, but it's a group award at this time, to the students of Joliet Junior College. Please introduce yourself.
My name is KP. I'm just a representative for the students at Joliet Junior College, and we just wanted to thank the city of Joliet for supporting us, attending our events, and also helping out. So we just thank you for the support.
The next award is to the junior college itself. Like I said, they really responded when we asked them for help to come in and give their input. And this last year, they had a disability awareness event that drew in an awful lot of people, over 400. When there's a student with a disability that needs employment, they help with the employment. But most importantly, there is a safety net for those students that want to go on to get their education. There's over 800 students at JJC that have some form of disability, and I think this is great. We have Mindy Diaz with us tonight. She's the head of the services that work with students with disabilities. Mindy?
I just want to correct Tony, we have 1,348 students with disabilities at Joliet Junior College. Oh yeah, so the partnership between the Mayor's Committee and Joliet Junior College has been wonderful. We've made some connections with the Department of Human Services that we were really struggling with and not able to provide adequate access for our students, because they often use the Department of Human Services for funding to come to our institution. So the process was a bit clunky. Thanks to the Mayor's Committee, we have really streamlined that process for our students. I don't feel like funding is no longer a barrier. It's given an avenue from, this is actually the Disability Awareness Club. They are quite an active group on campus. It's given them an avenue within the community to spread outside of JJC. So participating in the event this summer was just another way to engage youth in the community and show them that it's beyond JJC doors. And all the students here are not from the same high school. They're all from different high schools. They're all from different age groups. They've been at the college sometime. Do we have any new students? Yeah, Jake is new. And then we have some students who have been here 4 years. So it's just a variety of students. We have adults involved in the club as well. So I'm very proud because we are the most diverse group at JJC, and they're a very active and fun group. But thanks to Tony, he's really kind of provided the conduit that we needed to the community agencies. And for that, I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for the time to present these, and I just hope that someday we'll start hiring people with disabilities in the city of Joliet. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Next under mayor is appointments. None this evening. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following change? Remove Council Memo 601-18, an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow a 5-unit at 301 South Ottawa Street. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with removal of Council Memo 601-18?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Other than one of the public hearings, that would be a different section. Okay. Seeing none, council committee reports. First is finance committee report.
The Finance Committee met at 5:30 this evening. It's comprised of Councilman Girl and Councilman Mudrin. It was a very routine meeting. We recommended the approval of the amendment to the lease agreement with Verizon for the tower sitting outside City Hall here. Reviewed the monthly finance report, personnel summary, travel expense report, and invoices paid report. Find them to be in order and recommend their approval.
Next is the land use and legislative committee report.
Yes, the committee met Wednesday, November 14th here in the council chamber at 4 p.m. Myself, along with Councilman Dickinson and Councilwoman Quillman, we met here Wednesday. We had agenda items of a few things. We had an update on the rental inspection program. Staff is still working on getting some data to present to the committee in terms of fee, redoing the fee structure. I believe it was since 2012, if I'm not mistaken, the fees hasn't been changed. And now with the idea of adding single family rentals into the program, they having some time. I shouldn't say difficulty, but they just need more time in gathering the data in order to present to us a fee structure. I believe the revenue side right now is like $170,000, and the expense for doing the rental inspection program is over $1 million. So it has to probably going to need much discussion from the council in order to move forward on that. But they're looking to bring that back to the committee in the near future. We had a resolution for the sale of property at 259 Duncan Street to the adjacent homeowner, so that lot owned by the city will be put back on the tax rolls. They was the only one adjacent owner of the property that the city owner was bordered by an alley, and the property owner that is being sold to. Next on our agenda, we had a resolution authorizing the submittal of the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, which is called CAPER, to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and that's an annual submittal that the city does once a year, dealing with the CBG funding. So that would be the different organizations where the CBG funding was used for 2017. I'm gonna skip number 7 because I'm gonna ask Chris to do some of the legislative things that other legislative things that we've done. The comprehensive plan update, again, help me here, Kendall, that was Mike Swartz. He had kind of gave us an update on the comprehensive plan, and correct me if I'm wrong, that should be going out to RF.
Yes, we did the request for qualifications, and there were 8 firms that submitted. We culled that down to 6 firms that we will invite for formal proposals, and those are due mid-December.
Mid-December, right. So that would be the citywide comprehensive plan.
Correct.
Chris, if you don't mind, the proposed gun shop and some of the other,
Yes, sir. We also discussed proposed zoning regulations regarding gun shop. There are two existing gun shops in the city. We wanted to ensure that both locations met certain minimum security requirements, location requirements, and interior design requirements. Both shops are in compliance with the proposed change in zoning that will ensure that moving forward, if any new shops seek to open, that they will be required to meet these minimum standards to keep the community safe and to keep their stock and inventory inside safe, which is what we all want. The next thing we discussed there is, we all remember back in the 90s, we had to buy city stickers to put on our car. That program hasn't been used for more than 20 years by the city. That ordinance is still on the books. It requires an annual evaluation to see if we're going to require city stickers. We're not in compliance with that ordinance. Nobody really wants to bring them back, is my guess. So we're going to propose eliminating that section in the city code altogether to avoid any confusion. We discussed a licensure requirement for pet shops. We really only have one that's consistently operating in the city. There are some issues with a few unlicensed locations. These requirements codify state regulations, and they require inspections to be allowed by city inspectors, who hopefully are coming up around the corner. So again, we'll ensure that everybody engaged in the sale of pets in the city of Joliet engages in best practices and meets state requirements, and gives us an enforcement mechanism to address that. The police department requested, last year we lowered the weight limits on certain roadways in the city. The police department requested that we add Schweitzer Road west of Route 53 to Brandon Road, to that. Apparently they're getting a lot of truck traffic. That is a very narrow two-lane, essentially a farm road. The residents down there have been complaining, so we're suggesting we lower the weight limit on that roadway. And something we're also going to work on is better signage to help the truck drivers know where not to go down there, to help those guys out, to try to be fair to them.
I'm sorry, Chris,
Yes,
we're gonna raise the
Fine.
raise the
Lower the weight limit.
and raise the fine.
Raise the fine.
Okay.
That was also discussed, that the fine for violating weight class restrictions on city roads be raised. So we'll be presenting that to council at the next meeting. The tobacco code was amended to include alternative nicotine products. That was already in there. That's the vaping thing that some people are into nowadays. So that's been added to the code. New restrictions have been placed on that. It really just mirrors state statute. If you're under 18, you can't have access to alternative nicotine products. It was already in the code, but we spelled it out specifically. The smoking regulations were also amended. We're going to suggest a repeal of a certain section that says it's okay for someone under 18 to smoke if your parents give it to you, and that's not a very savory practice. So we're going to propose repealing that portion in the ordinances. We discussed a moratorium on the issue of Class V licenses, that's video gaming. We're proposing a moratorium of them east of Route 59 inside the city. The thinking is that west of Route 59 is largely undeveloped. So like the Caton Farm Road corridor going west, we do want to encourage commercial development to serve those residents out there, because that truly is a food desert running out that way. So we don't want to stifle any development out that way. However, most of the city east of Route 59 might be a bit saturated, so we might want to put the brakes on adding new machines, at least for the time being, before we can reassess. We also discussed regulations involving dogs. It's getting colder out this time of year, and we discussed additions to the animal cruelty section, which would regard cold weather, animal fighting, and keeping your animals inside of an enclosure. And those will probably be valuable additions. If everything goes according to plan, all those items will be before the next city council meeting. Thank you. If there are any questions, get a hold of me, please.
Thank you, Chris. And also like to point out, Mayor, that all the agenda items that the committee needed to act on, they were motion to with approval to the full council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prison Committee report.
Yes, Your Honor, the prison committee met November the 13th here in the executive conference room. The members are Councilman Dickerson and Councilman Morris. We had the agenda we went over and got a really good update on all the events that were going on at the prison. The prison tours, the paranormal tours, the Frisbee golf tournament was just amazing from what I'm hearing. The photographic tours and the fashion shoot. I'm going to bring in also Steve Jones will kind of help me out in this piece. We did discuss about the restoration, the 2019 restoration and stabilization of the prison. And we also got an update on the condition analysis and the structural assessment. So Steve, I want to bring you in now and kind of elaborate a little bit more.
Sure. Particularly with regard to the capital needs and some of the restoration. As you know, we've had several opportunities to raise some funding for the prison. We had the big prison break-in event, the paranormal tours generated about $15,000 for the museum. The overall tours and the sale of merchandise is somewhere around $35,000. So we've generated money that can be earmarked for taking some of the priorities in 2019 and leveraging some of our monies with some of that labor that we expect will still be there from the trades. So we posed a challenge to the museum and the various planning folks who have been involved in opening the prison up for tours and trying to push additional buildings for future years. And the challenge was, tell us what those priorities are so we get a general sense of where we should be spending the money. And some of the keys were roofing. We have the old guardhouse outside of the prison, which we call the spa building. We have the chapel, the cafeteria, the hospital, which are all buildings in relatively good shape, but in effect, there's some roof leaks. And clearly you can't keep leaky roofs and expect that the rest of the building will maintain its integrity. So there will be some money spent this year for roofing. Plumbing, that guardhouse or spa building outside, it's eventually going to be the visitor center. It'll be the area where folks who have bought tickets can utilize restrooms, basically come in for cooling in the summer and warmth in the colder parts of the year, and also be home to a gift shop. So we're looking to get plumbing in there, and some of the vandalism that occurred basically messed up all the fixtures. So we've got some of the volunteer labor that will do the installations, but clearly we need to spend some money in fixtures. So that will be part of the 2019 project. Electricity. Everyone knows ComEd did bring power back to the prison. We have security cameras that are in the process of being installed, but there's some additional lighting we would certainly like to have done in the prison to enhance the security, along with some aesthetic lighting. Anyone who was at the big prison event, the concert we had, just realized how beautiful that prison looks when the uplighting occurs on the limestone in the evening. We've got a donation from a vendor for some lighting fixtures. We'd like to eventually get electricity to various spots outside the prison to really make that place look as attractive as possible. Environmental, we have some commitments to do environmental cleanup in the North Seg building on the first floor. We would certainly like to have the second floor done as well. Some of the lead paint would be removed. And then signage. Everyone knows in that parking lot, we have some old signage that probably 15 to 20 years old. We would like to replace that with new signage and create more of a visitor's experience for those folks who aren't necessarily part of tours. Basically the history of the prison, highlight some of the things within Joliet that would be offsite. Some of the features of our community as a whole, so people visiting the prison, even if it's just a drive-through, can really get a sense of appreciation from outside the walls, along with finding out what else is within the city. So those are the main things. And will there be enough money to do all of these things? No. Will there be the possibility of applying for grants once we identify actual cost estimates? Yes. So it's our hope that we'll combine some of the money we've already raised, monies that will continue to be raised through 2019, and start to make big dents in what we need to do to open the prison up for additional use. And keep in mind, we've said this again and again and again, we're not looking to bring all those buildings back up to full occupancy like they were 20 years ago. Some of those buildings we're going to keep in a state of sustained ruins, as we've called it. It'll be something we'll appreciate, look at, but not necessarily occupy. But it's some of the buildings that really have value that we would like to get back to occupancy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So, Your Honor, I'd also like to thank Jan and Jan Nowarski and Chester. They came to the meeting as well and brought several items that they found during their search around the property. Some rings, some ID tags, different little artifacts that was there. So, and also the magazine, where it's International Magazine, we made the front cover. And so I really want to thank those guys and thank everybody who has volunteered for their service and their time and talents at the prison. So great work, everybody. Thank you. Your Honor, that's our report.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service met yesterday, November 19th, 2018, here at City Hall in the Executive Conference Room. On the committee in attendance was Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Dickinson, and myself. Also in attendance was Director of Utilities, Allison Swisher, and some of her staff, as well as Director of Public Works, Jim Trisna, and his staff. And also a pleasant surprise was our Economic Development Director, Steve Jones, attended. I want to take just a quick moment to welcome Rob Reiner to our, oh, it's not Rob Reiner, it's the Chief. Okay, right, Chief. You look like Rob Reiner, Chief Benton, or Chief Roshner. We had pretty, we had a pretty mundane agenda. The items were pay orders, final payments, contracts. We did review them. There was one item I did want to give a little bit of insight for. Through the leadership of Allison Swisher, we're actually getting ahead of the curve, unlike maybe some other communities that aren't when it comes to lead. First, let me, as far as lead pipes and so forth, first let me tell you that the city of Joliet never really had a noticeable amount of lead, and correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, in the actual main system. We never really did do lead. However, in the older sections of the city, it was customary to have the service lines from the main to the house at one point oftentimes be lead. Am I correct in stating that, Allison?
Yeah, the city did not ban the use of lead services until the late 1930s.
Okay, so we do have some out there, and what we're doing is Allison finally, we have been going back and forth, and she was tweaking and finalizing it, a program that came through committee, and we're going to be proactive. If we disturb lead lines, I'll oversimplify, there's three types. If we disturb it for main replacement or for repair or what have you, we disturb the service lines to the house, the entire service line will be part of that contract and replace as to get rid of that lead, because you don't want to disturb it, at no cost to the homeowner. In the ongoing inventory, if you will, of our water system that Allison and her department continues to do, as we identify the ones that are lead, we will offer an option. Now, the city will pay for what's referred to as the city portion, which is essentially the lead lines that would come from the main to the Buffalo box, correct, Allison?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then the residence portion would come from the Buffalo box out to their house, and that could cost a ballpark estimate of $4 to $8 grand usually. Again, I'm correct on that. However, Allison has put into her budget or projected for or requested within the water and sewer budget money that can be used as no interest loans for those homeowners that want to make that switch, and I think most would want to, away from that lead, even though it wasn't disturbed, and then they can pay it off over time. So I'm real proud of the program that Allison fine-tuned and brought before us, because again, like I said, I think it's great as a community to be proactive and get ahead of the curve on this, and not wait until you start hearing people talking about testing and lead levels in this portion of the city or at this building. So thank you, Allison. And if they have any questions on this type of program, they can contact your office, correct, Allison?
That's correct.
Just call City Hall and ask for the Public Utilities office, and they can explain, especially for those that may want to take advantage of the no interest loans, to replace their lines, even if there's not being any repairs or replacement of the mains being done. So I think ultimately, over the next number of years, we're gonna be a complete lead-free city, and I think that's a great goal to have. So, again, kudos to Allison and her staff and to the other council or committee members who were all along, you know, working together on this for the last couple of months. And so, as I said, the rest of the items are pretty normal, mundane items that we did review and found all to be in order, and they all received unanimous votes for a recommendation approval by the full council today, and you'll find them on the agenda. And that is my committee presentation, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of the minutes, it's recommended the minutes of the combined meeting held on November 5th, 2018 stand approved as recorded. Invoices paid report, it's recommended this report be received and placed on file. And Council Memo 591-18, position vacancies, it's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill 3 police patrol officer positions and 1 police lieutenant and any subsequent vacancies which may occur. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under public hearings, Council Memo 593-18, annexation of 2.72 acres located north of 921 East Washington Street and classification to I-1 light industrial zoning. This includes an ordinance approving the annexation and an ordinance approving the classification to I-1 zoning. This is a public hearing, so comments are in order at this time.
Would anyone like to comment on this matter?
Seeing none, let the record show the hearing is now closed. It is recommended said ordinances be adopted for Council Memo 593-18.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 593-18, an annexation of 2.72 acres located north of 921 East Washington Street and classification to I-1 light industrial zoning. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. The next public hearing is Council Memo 608-18, resolutions associated with Audubon Country Club. This includes a resolution approving the 7th Amendment to the annexation agreement and a resolution approving the 5th Amendment to the Master Development Plan for Audubon Country Club. This is a public hearing, so comments would be in order at this time.
Would anyone like to speak on this matter?
Seeing none, let the record show the public hearing is now closed. It is recommended said resolutions be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 608-18, resolutions associated with Audubon Country Club, which includes a resolution approving the 7th Amendment to the annexation agreement and a resolution approving the 5th Amendment to the Master Development Plan for Audubon Country Club. Councilman Hug?
I had a quick question. Do we have an Audubon representative here?
Yes, he's here.
And this is not gonna hold up my vote, Mr. Hanson, but I think we all received the same email. We don't know what the extended, and raised cart will do, but for some of the, the housing down there, once it's done, some of the sparse housing, I'm sure that they're committed to be amicable neighbors like they've been for so many years already. Should it change the noise pattern, they'll address that, right?
Well, absolutely. This is 2.25 miles away from Audubon.
Right, okay. So it may not happen. I just wanted
We
to.
have a requirement in our agreement to comply with Illinois standards on noise.
Okay.
We've never had a problem in our 15 years of existence.
Exactly. It's always been a great relationship with the community, both Joliet, city of, and the unincorporated portion. But I felt the need to go ahead and just make that public since we did receive. So, and with that said, I vote aye. Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Just to piggyback on what Councilman Hug said, I did talk to Mr. Hanson today, and he did look into it for us and found exactly where the homeowner's house was. And like you said, they've been a good neighbor, fabulous place out there, and I'm sure there'll be no problem. If there is, I'll take care of it. I also vote aye. Thank you.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving under ordinances, Council Memo 595-18, an ordinance approving the vacation of an unused portion of an alley adjacent to 812 Plainfield Road and accepting the dedication of a portion of an alley. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved. Second?
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 596-18, an ordinance approving a vacation of a 66-foot by 214-foot portion of Benton Street. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 597-18, an ordinance approving the vacation of a portion of Old Richard Street, 515 Richard Street. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Question. Marty, this one here, it's been going on for over 2 years now, and I thought it was in litigation, and last time we talked about it, we would let it play its course and that. But is there a change?
You know what, I'll have Chris address this one. He can probably answer this better.
There is litigation involving a situation regarding that property. This specific issue is not a litigation.
It's not. But this would put those two businesses out of business.
That's incorrect, sir.
It would not?
No. The city vacates the roadway's still there. It's nobody's gonna tear it up tomorrow. We're just not gonna spend $2 million on a bridge, is all.
And that's my other question is why is there a need for, it seems like they're pretty light businesses in there. You know, why does it have to be a 15-ton bridge at the cost of $2 million?
Yeah, the business condominiums, they call them, you know, the industrial condominiums, they tend to bring in heavy equipment at times, relatively heavy. And you've got that, they're not in the city, but the auto dealership, they bring in auto carriers at times. Now, we've had them unload, stop and unload and go across the bridge, which helps. But, you know, again, where the city's not going to remove the bridge, we had no intention, whether it's ours or theirs, we're not going to remove the bridge. It's going to stay it's going to stay as is.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 597-18, an ordinance approving the vacation of a portion of Old Richard Street, 515 Richard Street?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
No.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Council Memo 598-18, ordinances associated with Silverleaf Unit 4 re-subdivision. This includes an ordinance approving the preliminary plat of Silverleaf Unit 4 re-subdivision and an ordinance approving the recording plat of Silverleaf Unit 4 re-subdivision. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 599-18, an ordinance approving the final plat of Ashford Place Unit 2 subdivision. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 600-18, an ordinance approving the final plat of Whisper Glen Unit 2 subdivision. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 601-18, ordinance approving a variation of use to allow a 5-unit at 301 South Ottawa Street was removed from the agenda. Council Memo 602-18, an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow the continuation of a 2-unit at 1202 Dearborn Street. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
No.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Council Memo 603-18, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a truck wash facility in a B3 General Business Zoning District located at 2421 South Chicago Street. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 604-18, an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow outdoor storage as an accessory use for existing tenants located at 2601 City's Edge Drive. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 605-18, ordinances associated with 2903 Colorado Avenue. This includes an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow an RB restricted business use in a B2 Central Business Zoning District located at 2903 Colorado Avenue, and an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow the relocation of a medical cannabis dispensary located at 2903 Colorado Avenue. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
A quick question, if you don't mind, Mayor, to Marty or Chris. You know, of course, I've had people approach me, and I'll let people know, nobody opposed it. They accept the fact that this is, has good medicinal use. The only question they had, I didn't have the 100% answer for, and I think I understand it with the agreement, the special use, because they're a medicinal dispensary right now. With the new governor and all, and for the next couple of years, they go with recreational, they don't automatically get to sell recreational under this ordinance, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 606-18, an ordinance declaring certain properties public nuisances. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving under resolutions, Council Memo 609-18, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a paratransit local share agreement with PACE and to apply for grant funds available under Title 20 of the Social Security Act. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 610-18, a resolution authorizing the transfer of vacant surplus real estate at 259 Duncan Street. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 611-18, a resolution approving the First Amendment to a lease agreement with the Chicago SMSA Limited Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 612-18, a resolution amending resolution number 5796, authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement and amendment with John Georgosis for a coffee shop at the Joliet Gateway Transportation Center. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 613-18, a resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental cooperation agreement between the Village of Rockdale and the City of Joliet. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
John, if I may, I just wanted to make a comment. I just wanted to check with, Allison, did you get everything in there that you had requested?
Yes, I discussed this with the interim city manager today, and we are taking care of it with the letter we're going to be sending.
Great. I vote aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under bids and contracts, award of contracts, Council Memo 615-18, award of contract for demolition of 524 North Broadway Street. Council Memo 616-18, award of contract for asbestos abatement of 524 North Broadway. Council Memo 617-18, award of contract for the 2018-2019 snow removal for the downtown city center area and the commuter lot area. And Council Memo 618-18, award of contract for the 2018 traffic signal materials purchase order phase 2. It's recommended Council Memo 615-18 through 618-18 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report. We do need a motion to receive the 2019 city manager's proposed budget.
So moved.
Second.
So motion is seconded to receive the 2019 city manager's proposed budget. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So if you want to have a special meeting, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just plan on December 4th for now.
When's the next finance committee meeting?
Be the second meeting in December, so it'll be at the 18th, what is it?
Well, we want to discuss it before then.
Yeah.
Do we need a special meeting to go over it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have time in between the December 4th meeting and the subsequent council meeting prior to adoption, so.
And are we going to put this on the city website for review?
I was waiting for your approval before we did that. Okay. A couple of other things real quick. JCA, I got to go to their school and have their speak, and their volleyball team got the 3rd place state finish this past week. And the train station parking lot, there's been a lot of questions about that train station parking lot that is closed. Actually, Metra owned the lot, and we really couldn't do anything with it until we received the deed. We finally, after all these time and effort, have the deed, so it'll be opening within the next couple days. There's a lot going on in Joliet. It's a big parade, I heard. Hopefully the weather will be nice. That's all I have. Thank you.
Next is new business not for final action or recommendation.
I have nothing, sir.
Yes, I do, Mayor. Kind of dovetails to what I said earlier with the leadership from the Utilities Department as far as getting ahead of the curve. As a council and as a city, we need to get ahead of a curve that's been behind us for a while now. You know, the big 800-pound gorilla in the room always for development is the truck traffic up and down I-80 and to some degree up and down 55. It's been going on since 1998 when Senator Dick Durbin and Congressman Jerry Weller introduced it in Washington and essentially earmarked this area to be the world's largest inland port, and certainly the largest inland port in the nation. Communities from Tinley Park and even out as far as Country Club Hills, but Tinley Park to Morris and everywhere in between are not going to stop development. The 65% of traffic that currently comes down I-80 and 55 doesn't even stop in Will County. That's going nowhere. We don't need any more public forums to determine there is a problem. I think we're all in agreement there is a problem that will continue to grow. It ain't going to get better without action, but it's a multi-jurisdictional problem, starting from township to city to county to state and to federal government. Now, I did talk to Marty about a week ago, Marty, and he's getting the ball rolling. I don't know, I have no timetable. I don't think Marty has a timetable yet for it either, but we are getting it together. What I'm proposing is a regional forum, and this won't be just for Joliet residents, Mayor. This will be for all residents concerned because this is a regional problem that needs to be addressed by all the aforementioned units of government. You know, people don't seem to understand, some people, that the city of Joliet cannot repave or widen I-80. We have no jurisdiction. That would be like my neighbor up the street putting new siding on my house. I'd thank him, but he doesn't really have the right to do it. The county controls certain roads. The township controls not as many, but certain roads. The city of Joliet, and I think Jim Trisna can back us up on this, we go the extra mile. When we annex in and when we do development, we look ahead and we get lights put in, at least on a timetable. Am I right, correct? We improve the roads that under those development proposals are turned over to us. Then we improve them. Correct. We need the other levels of government to do the same thing. So I'm proposing a forum, and spitballing with Marty, I'd like it to be maybe a 3-hour forum, some say 5 to 8. The first hour and a half, I would like all of us from all levels of government, because we are all the people's representatives, to sit maybe at stations, tables, and let the public come and mingle like you do at a trade show and ask the representatives questions that are personal to them. Followed by an hour and a half where we can give a presentation and then follow it up during that hour and a half with questions from the audience. And I will, as a city, we will, if you all, I hope, agree with me on doing this, we will invite everywhere from our congressmen and senators that go to Washington for us, down to the Joliet, Jackson Township, even Plainfield Township officials, because they have to address problems. You know, Plainfield had its own big row about it recently with Diageo. So I wanted to give a heads up that we are going to be doing this. I held off till after the November elections because this is not a political issue. It's been used a lot here since I came here 7 years ago. This is a quality of life issue. It is something that has to be addressed. I didn't want to put anybody on the spot during the election and make it a political football, if you will. That election is over now. So, Marty, you're moving forward ahead with this?
Yes, we've already identified the potential location and then identified also the groups to invite to it.
Can you give a peek on the location or too early?
It's in the Joliet area.
Okay.
Because we're centrally located.
We needed something that would accommodate, we think, probably as much as 1,000 people, if not more. So there's some places we've gone traditionally for certain presentations. When they've done presentations on, do we have a problem? We don't need those presentations anymore. We're going to address the problem. We're going to be proactive like we are in our sewer and water department. And, you know, if it means that all of us up here, the mayor, the council members, the administration, and the citizens of Joliet, we're going to lead. because this problem is not gonna get any better, it's not gonna go away, and it will continue to get worse. If Joliet's not putting up warehouses, that doesn't mean that Tinley Park and Morris will, and they won't. So we have to address it, and we have to ask those that we've elected, not just here in the city, throughout the system, from dog catcher to president, what are you gonna do with the portions that you own? And I think this is a good step in the right direction. I want it to be a very respectful event. Nobody will be allowed to be, ridiculing people, no matter what level they come from. Now, if there's any objections from my fellow council members, from the mayor?
No, I think it's a great idea. I'm curious to see who's gonna come, or who doesn't come.
Is there a particular date you have in mind?
Marty's working out, what we did talk about is getting them
Like
5.
spring or
No, before
early?
spring.
Early?
Well, Councilwoman, we're looking at, remember, Marty, we talked about possibly putting together 5 dates
Yes.
and telling them, cross out the dates you can't come, for sure. So that leaves you at 3 or 2, and there's gonna be no reason that any elected official who wants to serve the community can't be at one of those 5 dates. And Marty, and if they can't, if it doesn't work out well, it's gonna be on Marty. Right, Marty? And you're doing a good job, Marty, as a city manager again. And I was great to hear the excitement over the phone that you had for this project. Because, I'm tired of trying to train that 800-pound gorilla. Let's just attack it. Let's just do it. That's all I have, Mayor.
Terry?
No.
Jan?
Good one, I agree.
Thank you.
That's it.
Wait, what?
Yes, I agree with Councilman Howe. I think it's a great idea.
I agree also. Marty, I think the next meeting in Allison, we're talking about having, an update on the water, issues that we're facing and what we're doing. Give another timetable, an updated timetable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next is public comments. First is Patricia Mathis. Come up to the microphone, please.
I just have a few comments on the ordinance, the feral cat ordinance. It is now included in all of Joliet. And it started July 17th. And there was an argument between a trailer park and a resident owner.
Could she talk in the microphone? I can really hear.
Joliet.
Feral cats.
Private property owners be able to choose for themselves
It's the other mic.
whether they want to feed
Thank you.
animals or not. Private property isn't the same as living in town.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comments? Next is mayor and council comments.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to just give a great big shout out to all of the agencies during this time of Thanksgiving and looking out for those who are less fortunate. I'd like to thank all of the organizations for making sure that people had food, that they have shelter and warmth during this time. So if you see your brother, your neighbor, your anybody who is in need, please extend that helping hand. And the other thing, I'd like to thank the Morning Star Mission. I had the opportunity to go down and serve meals. The mayor and I, food was good too, Mayor. I served myself too, but we had a great time and interacting, and so I just want to thank the mission, and please invite me back again. I would love to do that again with you. Thank you.
Again, I'll echo the comments earlier from Councilman Quillman, and my family's heartfelt condolences to the Zerkes family and the boss of Ed Zerkes. Also, too, just a quick shout out to local labor, the Roofers Union, and other components of labor, and the Three Rivers Contractors Association and some of the suppliers. Between October 27th and November 2nd, they pulled together, and our beloved VFW on Horseshoe Drive got a brand new roof that should have been replaced at least 5, maybe 10 years ago. and it couldn't make it through another winter. So I want to thank everyone from labor as well as from the business community that came together to put that roof on. It was a $15,000 to $25,000 project that the VFW just didn't have the budget for and wasn't going to have it anytime soon. So I would encourage folks to go to the VFW and use the facilities that we have for almost 50 years, 48 years. It's been here 48 years, for parties, for receptions, for smaller events, well, actually they can accommodate rather large events in the upstairs. And if you don't have an event where you want to rent it and give them some revenue, simply donate to our veterans. We got to keep their home going. Just simply call the VFW, Horseshoe Drive, Cantigny 367, and make a donation. If you don't live in Joliet, make a donation to the veterans, whether it's the American Legion or the VFW in your community. The VFW in Frankfurt is struggling now and may close down. We need to come together and not just talk about supporting our veterans, actually supporting them. What's the old saying? Show me the money. And that's what they need. They need the help. So I really do implore the entire community, whether it's a $5 or a $5,000 donation, donate to the veterans. It is tax deductible. Other than that, a happy and blessed Thanksgiving to all the families in Joliet and beyond. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And I'd like to congratulate our national National
Hookup of Black Women.
In their new facility. The open house is wonderful. They've done so much without a facility like that. I'm just waiting to see what they do with this wonderful facility that they were blessed with. So congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
As Terry said, I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody can make it to the parade on Friday.
Well, since the organization took over the Oakview School, they are in need of some regular tables and chairs because the school was gracious enough to leave them some tables and chairs, but they're for little people, for kindergarten and first and second graders. So if anyone has extra tables, chairs, and I guess some area rugs, we're in need of that, and some new books. I'd also like to wish everyone a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving, and in particular this year with all the violence going on and the terrible fires and loss of life and loss of home, and just the tragedies that have been going on with the shootings and uncalled for. Just take an extra moment to give your loved one an extra hug or a kiss or a kind word, because a little bit goes a long way, because tomorrow is promised to no one. That's why they call today the present. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Nothing.
I have a number of items. Real quickly, I can't believe it got to me. Good luck, Joliet Catholic football team Saturday against Montini. We're all rooting for it. I think a lot of us.
We saved that for you.
Yeah, thank you. November 10th, Brown Chapel AME had a college fair. I was there to present a proclamation to Betty Mahone. I think this is the 20th or the 25th year they've done this college fair. Very impressive. Thank you, Miss Mahone, and all the volunteers who were down there working on it. November 8th, Joliet Central had their annual Veterans Day celebration. Councilwoman Coleman, you were there. Councilman Mudred, I believe you were there. But thank you, Joliet Central, and all the veterans who showed up for that. On November 9th, most of the council was with me at Cadence Premier Logistics Pit Stop Truck Center opening. Another nice addition by Cadence. This is the third year in a row that they've had a grand opening. And I would like to, again, thank Cadence for the commitment they made to Joliet beyond just the logistics, that they moved their corporate headquarters to Joliet last year. So they've been great community partners, and thank you, Cadence, again. November 10th, there was a Veterans Day ceremony downtown, the annual Veterans Day ceremony put on by the Veterans Assistance Commission. It was very well done, a different format this year, but I thought it was very professional and very respectful for the veterans. The same day I spoke at TZAC Funeral Home. They had their annual Veterans Day event for the veterans that they had serviced throughout the year, for the families of the veterans who have been serviced. Thank you, TZACs. Last Saturday, Morningstar Mission, as Councilwoman Gavin mentioned, we had a Thanksgiving lunch that we were lucky enough to be asked to serve. Thank you, Morningstar, and all the volunteers that were there. A bunch of high school kids that were there volunteering at the time, serving the homeless at Thanksgiving dinner. It was a very nice event. And then finally, earlier this evening, I was at the African American Business Association after-hours party. Congratulations to ABBA. They're really up and going. They have momentum, and they're moving forward with that group, so I'm very happy to see them do so. So again, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm hoping to see people at Friday's parade. It's one of my favorite events of the year. And again, Joliet Catholic football team, great luck on Saturday. Thank you.
I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
The motion is seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried.